Is the Gauteng ANC in good terms with its national leadership? Why is the ANC in Gauteng still opposed to the e-tolls funding model? Is the province losing the fight against racism at schools? And will the ANC still be in charge of this province of Gauteng after the 2016 local government elections? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Sedu. The African National Congress in Gauteng is known not to be a conforming region within the ANC circles. They have always held independent views from their NEC and other provincial ANC structures. Most recently, its chairperson publicly denounced a report compiled by Police Minister Nathi Nhleko on security upgrades at the private residence of President Jacob Zuma. But on a more domestic front, though, there are rumours which have been dispelled by the ANC itself, claiming there is a looming reshuffle of the provincial government executive in an effort to accommodate Paul Mashatile and Gwen, who are both leaders of the PEC. What is the state of affairs in the ANC in Gauteng? Papo is the secretary of the ANC in Gauteng, and he is my guest today. A reminder that this is a live program, and therefore you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial 089-110-4210, or if you're outside the borders of the country, 002789-110-4210. Our Twitter handle is @QuestionTime24. Therefore, we can take your views there. Papo, welcome to Question Time. A very important year in the calendar of the African National Congress, where you're celebrating quite a huge milestone of the adoption of the Freedom Charter. Yet, on the same note, it would appear things are not as good as they are said to be. And I'm talking about media reports now. But, there seems to be something brewing within the ANC circles here in Gauteng. What would you say? How would you describe the state of the ANC in Gauteng?
How are you, Mpho? The ANC in Gauteng is very healthy. It's growing every day. We're the biggest political party in the province in terms of paid-up membership and active membership. We're represented in almost all over 500 wards which exist in Gauteng, and that cannot be said of any other people. We have a good relationship with our national leadership. We express opinions within the structures of the ANC. I'll give an example. When we were preparing for the Mafikeng Mangaung conference,
yes,
nominations were opened for all the provinces to actually nominate. We exercised our choice to nominate, and after the conference, we respected the conference decision and support all our national office bearers and the elected NEC. Yeah. So we work within the confines of the structures of the organization. We don't start discussions on leadership, for example, when things have not yet been formally started in the organization.
Now, let's perhaps get this out of the way. The pronouncement by the chairperson, Paul Mashatile, on the report by the Police Minister on Nkandla.
Our provincial chairperson was responding to an allegation that the ANC has an opinion on the report. He was answering that question specifically, an opinion on further upgrades at the private residence of the president. He just clarified that the report has not been tabled before the constitutional structures of the ANC. What was done is that Parliament approved an ad hoc committee to process the report, hoping that the ANC, by the time the report is finalized, they would have actually met to consider the report. So he was just expressing an opinion that because he's an ex-officio member of the NEC,
yes, the
national structure had not discussed, caucus had not discussed, but they approved, not the report, they approved an ad hoc committee to process the report. So that was what was voted for in Parliament. So he was clarifying that allegation that the ANC in Parliament voted for the report. So he was clarifying that matter.
Was it unfortunate that it was him who had to say that?
It's not unfortunate. ANC members have a responsibility to clarify policy, principle, and to clarify decisions of the organization when they are distorted. So as a leader of the ANC in the province, he has a responsibility to clarify any matter which affects the ANC.
What is the state of relations between you as the PEC and the NEC?
We work very well. In fact, on the e-tolls matter, we were engaging with our national office bearers, right from the conference, briefing them about our conference resolutions. When the panel was established, we interacted with them on that process to explain to them why the conference recommended a panel to be established. And we also briefed them on the outcome of the panel. We worked with them from last year in November until the announcement was made by the Deputy President. We were meeting with the national office bearers. We didn't have no less than 4 meetings with the national office bearers on the e-tolls matter.
And why then does it appear that there's a division?
There are people who enjoy that kind of a narrative. It's a false narrative. That's why, for example, after the provincial chairperson spoke, there was no statement from the office of the Secretary General, because they were aware we spoke to them and they understood why our chairperson had to defend the ANC as an organization. There are people who conflate the ANC with government. ANC is a political organization which is represented in government. It's not government. Government is a huge institution. It's not a political party. So when ANC has no position on the matter, that has to be clarified. So that was clarified. That's why there was no statement. There seem to be people who enjoy a narrative of a conflict between the province and the national leadership. It's an illogical, it's a false narrative when we reject it with contempt.
And your views as the ANC on e-tolls is not necessarily what government came up with.
Our provincial conference took a resolution on e-tolls that we should actually review the matter, specifically adopted these following resolutions. The conference adopted the user pay principle because the conference was attended by delegates who are responsible. Because when you actually reject that user pay principle, you are actually creating a lot of financial problems for our province and the country. So if you look at our resolution, it accepted the user pay principle. It said the leadership must go ahead and deal with the issues of affordability, administrative simplicity, and that was the basis. So they call this story about is not in line with our conference resolution. Our conference resolution said, let's deal with affordability. That's why we had to go and negotiate on the issue of a reduction, making the e-tag not to be the basis of using the roads, expanding payment options from the e-toll offices to municipal offices, post office, retail stores, amending the legislation so that people can still participate, so that when we say we shouldn't link license to payment, maybe other alternatives should be. But the ANC position in Gauteng is not to reject, and this so-called scrap is not the position of the ANC, because we are guided by conference resolutions, not our own individual opinions. The panel did an extensive study on the tolling systems throughout the world. They looked at the economy, they looked at all options, and they proposed. They didn't say we must scrap. They said we should actually look at a hybrid model to ensure that low and medium income homesteads and motorists are actually cushioned. And that was the panel. So people who are talking about the report of the panel, they want to talk about one option. By the way, with the reduction which has happened, the shortfall has to be covered by national and provincial government. And part of that shortfall will have to be paid from the fuel levy. You remember the minister increased the fuel levy when he announced the budget. So part of the shortfall which is going to happen because of the almost 50% reduction has to come from the fuel levy. So we think that it's not that when you go into a discussion, you don't get everything you want. You must have a give and take situation. So I think for us it's important that we have a dispensation which we call on our people to support. It's not what it was when it was implemented in 2013. We listened to our people during door-to-door that there's a problem of affordability. Obviously, not everybody will be met. For example, there are people who do not support the ANC stance on the death penalty. But they know there are other things the ANC is doing well. So you cannot actually equate ANC to e-tolls. There are many things: health, education, the economy, many things, opportunities for youth, many things which the ANC government has done since 1994. So ANC is not equal to e-tolls. So we reject that thing. And I gave an example with the death penalty. There are people who do not agree with the ANC on the issue of the right of women to terminate pregnancy. I'm just giving an example on policy matters. So you can't reduce the ANC equal to death penalty. As if since 1994, the ANC has only been focusing, you can reduce it to a death penalty.
Okay, hold the thought there. I want us to talk about two things when we return. One, the reshuffle. Is it true that Gwen Ramokgopa is coming into the executive and Paul Mashatile? What is going to happen to David Makura in that case? This is question time. A reminder that you can call us on the numbers, and let me apologize that we seem to have changed our numbers. The numbers that you should use, rather, are the ones on the screen: 011-714-6841 or 42 or 43. Our apologies in that regard. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll be taking your calls. This is question time.
In Africa, mobile devices are tools to make payments, browse the internet, and keep governments in check with social media forums.
It's given an average African too much power in their hands.
And tech creativity is solving some of the continent's problems.
Everything is internet driven.
And on Network, we tell you how Africans are using technology and social media in their everyday lives.
Join Siphumelele Zondi on Network every Sunday at 19:30 CAT.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. The numbers to dial: 011-714-6841, 6842 or 6843. My guest today is Papo, who is the ANC secretary here in Gauteng. Are you going to reshuffle cabinet as the ANC?
I think it's an illogical kind of story, and that's why we termed it gutter journalism, because Comrade Paul Mashatile is a former premier of Gauteng. He has been an MEC in 4 departments in this province. Comrade Gwen has been the MEC in this province, became a mayor and a deputy minister. Comrade Gwen requested to be removed from both national and provincial lists so that he can then focus mainly to do organizational work and other interests linked to her profession as a doctor.
Yes. Comrade
Paul was nominated by branches to go to national parliament because they still want him to play a national role. He's the portfolio committee chairperson of the appropriations. He's the chairperson of the appropriations committee. Now, it's very illogical. I mean, a few months down the line, accommodate people. They took decisions because if Comrade Paul was supposed to be in the province, it could have been done last year. So it's a very illogical kind of proposal. It has never even been discussed by any structure of the organization: provincial office bearers, provincial working committee, PEC.
Okay.
It's funny because how does that happen? I mean, that's why we think it's just nonsensical, that kind of view.
And Sputla Ramokgopa, is he safe?
We have confidence in the regional executive committee of Tshwane. They were just elected in October last year. In the ANC, we don't change when we have not done an assessment in our province. We do an assessment of performance of a structure, whether in government or in the organization. When you dissolve a region, the REC should be dysfunctional, the RWC should be dysfunctional, the region should not be able to meet as a region on any matter, they would not be able to implement any programs. You cannot just dissolve a region because you dislike a person. It has to be based on implementation of programs of the organization. So far, the Tshwane region has been implementing our programs. There might be people there and there who don't like leaders, but you don't run an organization on whims and likings of people. You run the organization on a scientific basis, whether that structure is able to implement and is capable of leading. Okay. So we have confidence in the Regional Executive Committee of Tshwane and all other 4 regions, because all our regions have gone to conference. Our Veterans League have gone to conference. Our Youth League has gone to conference. Yeah. Our Women's League is in good standing.
So you're the only province which is functional completely, well, not all the only, but
all
one
our
of
structures are in good standing and they're functioning, and we have confidence in them.
Gwen, you're calling us from Bronkhorstspruit?
Yes, how are you?
I'm doing well. Gwen, if you could just raise your voice.
Okay, I just want to ask my secretary there. It seems, if you can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
It seems in the organization that I'm a member, there is a tendency where once you voice your opinion, you are being regarded as an outsider or part of an opposition. So I'm just appealing to, because I don't want to be specific, but in our region, once we start questioning someone, there was a case where when we asked our comrade, he ended up saying he's doing us a favor to have a meeting with him. So I'm just
which region are you Tshwane or Ekurhuleni?
I'm phoning from Ramokgopa.
Okay, Ramokgopa will be Tshwane.
Is he continuing or he wants me to answer?
Okay, do you want your secretary to respond here?
Yes, I'm just saying, yeah, there is that tendency whereby our guys, once we start differ with them, with opinion, they regard you as a member of an opposition. So we are just saying, let the secretary stick to the rules. If they are right to voice their opinion, but we must engage and allow that culture. Once we differ, we must voice our opinion within the organization.
Okay.
I fully agree with him, but obviously in an organization, you can't have members who go out and raise opinions which differ with organizational decisions outside the organization. There's no organization. Even liberal organizations don't run that way. But inside the organization, yes, there must be a culture of a debate. We generally debate. I mean, sometimes if you go into an ANC meeting, you'll think people don't sometimes belong to the same organization. Opinions are expressed there, which may differ. But the problem is when a decision has been taken, people still continue expressing their opinion, which they couldn't convince the majority about. That cannot be allowed in any serious organization like ours, which is a revolutionary organization. We don't allow that kind of approach. And I think it's fair to expect that. You can't debate, take a decision, somebody then disagrees with that decision permanently. Now, but obviously, if during the debate, if someone actually says, because you are disagreeing, and we're encouraging our regions to allow an environment if people differ, they should not be labeled.
Okay. Mishak, you're calling us from the Val.
Paul, how are you?
We're doing well. Thanks for the call.
Thank you so much. My greetings once again to my GS, Comrade Hope. Hello?
Thanks, Comrade Mishak.
That's right. Look, Mpho, I'm completely in disagreement with the question that we posed that the ANC is going to lose in Gauteng. In fact, as a matter of fact, I'm just an ordinary member of the African National Congress, and I'm very proud of that. In fact, there are quite a number of programs which, as an ANC, we are not bound to deliberate that on you as a media people. But we know for sure that the ANC, particularly in Gauteng, is under the siege, you know. But we do everything that we can to ensure that the lives of ordinary people is continuing to be better.
Okay.
Of course, we are not a fashionable type of an organization that will always be on the run raisins at the media. But I'm definitely happy, 100% correctly happy that indeed our organization is doing very well, exceptionally well.
Oh, but Mishak, perhaps before you go, what makes you so confident that the ANC will retain all the metros and the municipalities in Gauteng?
I want to answer that question also.
Good question. Programs of the ANC, through door to door. The ANC is getting first-hand information to the ordinary people like myself. That on its own, it does give my organization a better line to say it indeed, even beyond 2016, because the ANC is not about 26. Beyond that,
okay.
It is for that reason that I believe that indeed will continue to govern the Gauteng.
All right.
We have started implementing the 2014 to 19 manifesto, which we crystallized as a program for transformation, modernization, and reindustrialization of Gauteng. Our provincial conference in October adopted that program. It's being implemented by the provincial government together with the 5 municipalities, 3 metros and 2 districts, operating in a coordinated fashion. We have divided the province into 5 corridors, And there are massive programs which were announced by the Premier in almost every area on radical economic transformation, transforming the township economy. It's a fundamental issue for us. Building township enterprises, cooperatives, and all our municipalities assist with that responsibility of beginning to isolate resources in the township so that they are actually maintained there. Government give work to township enterprises. That's the direction we're actually taking on a concrete, practical level. In all the areas of the economy, we're aiming to ensure that in our townships, the economy is revitalized, resources can be circulated in those townships, and the potential of our townships can actually be seen. Okay.
Kabelo, you are in Klerksdorp.
How are you, Mpo?
We're doing well, thanks for the call.
I'm fine, thanks. Mpo, what I know about the ANC in Gauteng, they are the only province that are against corruption. Even before Mr. Makhura was appointed a premier, he was part of those people who didn't want the e-toll to be implemented. So they appointed him so that they can see if he's still going to carry on with the issue of the e-toll, to be against the e-toll. And when it comes to Mr. Mashatile, he's also one of those people who always against the decisions of the ANC that people see, like if the people complain about the corrupt ANC members, Paul Mashatile was always supporting those people. So because of his job, he didn't have power to raise more voice when it regards to corruption in Gauteng. That is why I'm very scared Mr. Mashatile may also, when it comes to reshuffle, somehow they are moving him away from Gauteng province so that he cannot interfere too much on their corruption thing, including the e-toll.
Who is corrupt here?
No, I mean, like the ANC, generally the ANC government is corrupt. We hear now there's a lot of things, the Nkandla issue, for example, and other things that people are not happy about. And the likes of Paul Mashatile were people who are against all those things.
Okay.
But because they are ANC members and officials, they cannot like 100% go in public and say, we are against these things. And they know for a fact that people like Mashatile, every time there's a lot of things that he disagree with them.
Okay. All right, thanks.
I think the problem is that Comrade Paul Mashatile is actually governed by resolutions of the organization. It's not governed by his own personal whims. We do surveys. We also check where people are. That's why we had to reopen the issue again and take decisions which take a balance on the issue of making the system to be affordable and administratively easier, but at the same time not endangering the economic well-being of the country. Because if the country is put on a junk status, it becomes very difficult to even loan money for very serious infrastructure programs which are necessary for Gauteng as the engine of the economy.
A quick one before we close. Racism in schools here in Gauteng.
Let's start. Tribalism and racism and sexism are a problem. So when we talk racism, we must also add tribalism and add sexism. Those are three devils which we need to fight as a society. So racism, there's no child who's born a racist. People are taught to be racist, so they can unlearn racism. So programs and anti-racism programs in the schools are very, very important. Parents should actually stop. You see that 21-year-old in the USA who shot people. It means in his own social circles was actually taught to be racist in the environment. So we must continue to fight racism when it rears its head in the schools. We think the MEC for Education in Gauteng, under the leadership of Comrade Makhura, are dealing with the matters head-on. They are able to actually confront racism. School governing bodies must confront racism. Teachers must confront racism. Students must confront racism. Communities must confront racism. We have no space for racism in a democratic South Africa. We'll continue fighting it and we will defeat it.
Hope Papo, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
That was Hope Papo, is the secretary of the ANC here in Gauteng. A big thank you to him and to you for watching the show. Get in touch with us. Our email address, questiontime@sabc.co.za. Our Twitter handle @questiontime24. From me and the crew, have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.